sell Treasury securities are pulling money out of the economy, so there's less money to lend. The other one is the reserve limits that they put on banks. They have the power to tell a bank you have to keep 15% of all your money in reserve. You can't let it out. Or they can raise the limit and say, now you got to keep 20%, which would, of course, give the banks less money to lend and pump interest rates higher. And, of course, the third thing that they do is the interest rate that they charge member banks for borrowing from the Fed. So this, again, if they charge the member banks more interest, then the member banks are going to charge the public more interest as they borrow. So that's the three ways that the Fed can control the interest rate. And do they sometimes get a little out of control? Yeah. And I have a little more problem with Fannie Mae and Freddie than I do the Fed, although I'm not thoroughly tickled to death with the Fed either.
So basically, the Fed has a responsibility to be able to expand and contract the number of dollars that are out there. And they can also change the reserves requirements in banks that does the same thing. In addition to that, by changing those requirements, it changes their ability to lend out money. And so if you really look at the numbers, it's about, 10 times or 7 times the amount of money you have in the bank is being lent out by this bank is only keeping a small portion of what you have. So because they know there's no time that any individual is going to do a run on the bank. So basically, this money is being unused. And so they basically extend it out through credit or other fashions to expand the availability of money flowing in our economy. So those are ways the government or the Federal Reserve is supposed to work with the banks to provide you money to do business and conduct whatever transactions. Now, a lot of people will make a big question regarding the fiat currency. Well, I don't want to be taking chickens to the store, right, and exchanging that for some bread, right? And so we have to have some mechanism, which is dollar bills or coins, to exchange for those transactions. The question is, what is the value of that dollar bill or coinage? Oftentimes in the past, it was based on real tangible assets, such as gold or silver, was backed behind that. In fact, our currency was mandated to be backed by something tangible than intangible. I'm not sure if we can separate ourselves from the intangible as far as this fiat dollar, which is a dollar that's not really based by anything. But they determine whatever the value they want to, which if you look at the world economy, you have the International Monetary Fund, which basically provides funds and saying, hey, these are exchange rates that you have from nation to nation because the United States has more dollars are out compared to other nations of the world. Again, that's probably weird science because you don't really know where they really derive those numbers from.
Another thing you want to keep your eyes on, Brian, right now there's a bill that's gone through with the House that has not passed the Senate yet, and hopefully it won't. But it is one reason why all the hoopla right now over Goldman Sachs is to help it, the news media and the administration get the point across that the government really needs to take more control over our banks. But there's a bill that's gone through the House that says the president can take over any financial institution at any time if he thinks it is having a problem and he thinks it's too big to fail. So that would allow Bull Rock to walk into any financial institution and say, you know what, I don't think you're doing things right, and you're just too big to let fail, so get out. We're taking over this institution right now. I am vehemently opposed to that. That's just that's Stalinistic. No, thank you very much.
Well,
anything else?
The question is, do you want to be free or do you want to have your freedoms taken away? Which means, do you want some entity that's controlling every aspect of your life? And as Americans, we cherish the freedoms which are given to us by God above. And to give any institution, whether the state, local, or federal government power, it should be limited. And the power should be retained by the individual, not by the state.
Wow.
Anything else?
Thanks for answering all of it.
Well, Brian,
you've been
pleasure.
polite,
We're about ready to close, and thank you very much. David, do you have any last-minute things you would like to share? You only have about 30 seconds or so. Thank you, Brian.
Thomas Jefferson said, adore God, revere and cherish your parents, love your neighbor as yourself, and love your country more than yourself. Be just, be true, and murmur not against the ways of providence, as hard as that is sometimes. So I'll just kind of leave it with that.
Well, again, this is Tea Party Radio. You can get more information about the Tea Parties on teaparty.org. We are the original Tea Party organization in our country. These other ones have been brought in the last year, and not that I have problems about them expanding the Tea Party. The fact is that we have no allegiance to a political party. Our allegiance is to the American people and to the Constitution. If you want to restore your nation, join teaparty.org and get more information. Together, we can restore our nation. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Place where dreams can live, place where I can be, land of the free, land of the Hey, Dad.
Hey, buddy.
How come we have a bunch of emergency food stashed in a big